Welcome to AmericanSalon.com's on-demand video series, Doing Business in a Digital World. I'm Gordon Miller, VP of Digital for American Salon Magazine and .com, and I'm going to be your moderator today. We are pleased to present The Power of Inbox Marketing, the third of 6 programs in our series on digital and social media best practices. Today we're going to discuss with our expert panel why inbox marketing matters to salons, as well as some key best practices to consider in building your success. And we'll hear how one leading salon puts inbox marketing to good use in their very successful efforts to grow the business month after month. With us today are 2 expert panelists, 2 of my favorite people in the social space and in the professional beauty industry in general. First up is Nina Kovner, founder of Passion Squared. Nina empowers small businesses and professionals, providing coaching online and off in the areas of marketing, strategy, branding, professional and personal development. Nina is also a thought leader in social and digital for our industry, and she has a most awesome newsletter online. And Benjamin Jay, owner of the Hair Loft Salon in Chicago and president of Form and Function Education, where he and his team share real-time education as well as online inspiration. More importantly for today's conversation, Ben is a young but successful, or I should say successful salon owner using inbox marketing to drive new revenue in his salon for his team. Nina, we're going to get things started actually by asking you to share your thoughts on why inbox marketing matters to salons, as well as some really important best practices.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Gordon. And I'm so stoked to be here with Ben because I know Benjamin and I both share an incredible passion around inbox marketing. So, of course, I want to make sure everyone's clear up front. When we're talking about inbox, we're talking about email, okay? Email. So, you know, really I am going to be digging into a little bit of the what, a lot of the why. But when we think about email marketing and we think about engaging with clients in their inbox, there's so many different ways that we can do that, whether it be a monthly newsletter, promotional communications, just sharing gratitude and shout outs. I think one of the biggest challenges that I see is really just understanding how to create and form that kind of plan for your salon. And I'm really, really excited that Benjamin's going to be sharing a lot of the things that he's doing to really mix up the content in a way that clients want to engage with it. So let's talk a little bit about why. You know, email marketing is still one of the most awesome ways to stay connected with existing clients. And I think this is really an important point is when we look at growing our business, any way we look at it, we've got existing clients and we've got new clients, right? I mean, that's how we grow. So we really have to look strategically at those clients in a different way. There's different tactics that we use to engage with existing clients than we do in building new clients and building referrals and word of mouth. So really when we're talking about inbox, a lot of the emphasis goes to existing clients. And when you measure, if you measure your traffic to your website, you will see that almost always one of your biggest traffic drivers for existing clients is coming from your newsletter, from your email. It's phenomenal and it's really, really exciting. It's an awesome way to deliver consistent value. I think one of the things that a lot of us get hung up with because we're so like traumatized by spam is we are fearful of spamming our clients. And the thing we have to remember is this is not about pushing out your agenda. It's not about pushing out information. It's about being valuable. It's about delivering value. So again, whether that's through a newsletter with tips and ways to use a product or a color story or a hair care story or a recipe for the delicious cookies you serve on Saturday, whatever that is, we always want to think in anything we do with marketing, value, value, value. This is not about spam. This is about creating value. And it's an incredible way to build relationships through delivering that value. And ultimately, relationships drive revenue. So a few numbers as of, I think it was, so this study is 2014. 9 times more marketing emails went to inboxes than direct mail. So, I mean, I think we all kind of know that. Like, I don't know how many people are really doing direct mail anymore, but certainly there are a lot more awesome ways to engage with clients on their terms. And their terms are now receiving something in an inbox or engaging on Facebook or Instagram. When we just think about how we use our quote unquote phones today, we use them for everything but answering the phone. So we need to think about that in communications with our clients, and inbox is an incredible way to communicate with our clients. Email marketing delivers one of the highest ROIs, return on investment, of any digital tactic. So I would say for existing clients, in my experience, what I've seen is there is no question when you measure, again, when you measure, because we got to measure, but when we measure the effectiveness of an email done well, and again, Benjamin's going to share so many awesome ways to do it well, that we see that revenue generated almost immediately. We see that return on investment. It's mind-blowing in a lot of ways. And 66% of consumers made a purchase online as a result of an email marketing message. Again, deliver value, but by all means have a call to action. If you've got something to sell, a reservation, a gift card, a product, whatever, this is such an incredibly effective way to do it. Why? We always want to start with why. So one of the most common questions I get asked is about, I don't know, like how often I should send emails. Well, there is no answer. There's no pad answer for frequency because each business is different. So depending on all the marketing activities that you're doing today, I don't know what your send schedule should be. What I do know is you need to commit to one. And so what I find in working, I was just actually working with a client last week who was sending 2 a month. And they were doing very well, but it was putting a strain on the organization because of just the resources that they had at the time. So they've decided to move to a monthly, which is great. It's still going to do well. So you really have to determine what value do you have to deliver, what content's important for your clients, and what can you commit to consistently. Because what's worse than no email is sending an email announcing a newsletter and then bailing on it and never coming back to your client's inbox. So we never want to promise something we can't commit to. Same goes for inbox. And of course, no spam. And that's just a given. The more we respect people's inboxes, the more they are going to find value and engage with our newsletters and communications. So that's really a big one. Being mindful of branding, right? Both in design and messaging. So we want to make sure that the design of our email is beautiful. I personally use MailChimp. I love MailChimp. It's free up to 2,000 subscribers, so it's a great value, but it is so like intuitive. I kind of call it the Mac or the Apple of email platforms just because it makes it pretty simple for you to create a beautiful on-brand design if you do not have design resources available to you. Always give more than you take. That's that value equation. Always, always, always. This is not about what can I get from the client. This is about what service can I provide the client? What value can I provide the client? I promise you, the more your newsletters are enriched with value, the more actions your clients will take on those newsletters. Stay consistent. I've said it. I'll say it a gazillion times if I'm allowed to. It's consistency is everything, everything, everything. And then we always want to provide a call to action, some sort of call to action, even if it's make your reservation today. And again, Benjamin's going to show us some killer stuff. Okay, let's just talk a little bit about measuring. So within inbox marketing, there's a few key measurement tools that I look at. Now, of course, there's a million ways to measure stuff. I don't want to overwhelm anyone because I know sometimes we get overwhelmed with all these kind of like metrics. However, open rate, that's important because it says how many people actually opened your email. So we want to know that. If there's value in it, they're going to open it, right? So that's important. Click-through rate is those call to action links, right? Like click here to make your reservation, or click here to purchase a gift card, or click here to read this, blog, or click here. So that shows you how many people actually took action on what you were asking them to do. Bounce rate tells you you have bad email addresses. So that's the bounce rate. That means that something was inputted wrong or whatever. And unsubscribe rate is the people that are unsubscribing. Now, if a few people are unsubscribing, that's normal. But when you see a high unsubscribe rate, that tells me a couple things. Either there's not a lot of value coming from the email, or you're spamming and people are over it, okay? A high bounce rate tells me that you've got some system error when it comes to inputting the emails from your computer system that you're using at the salon or from your online booking platform that collects client emails. So that is just a few things on measurement. So to wrap that up, I think what's most important is always starting with why. Why are you going to send the newsletter? What value do you have to deliver to the client? If you can get that right, you will be absolutely blown away at the success that you can have and how you continue to stay connected and build relationships with those existing clients and in turn generate a ton of additional revenue. So Gordon, that's my 5 cents, 10 cents.
I think you got at least 50 cents there.
And that's my 50 cents.
And then some. Nina, always love hearing all of your insights and experience in the social and digital space especially, but across pretty much anything and everything that has to do with being successful in the salon space or having a career in this business. A couple questions that came to mind quick, and I'm going to give Ben an opportunity in case he wants to jump in, but 2 questions for you before I do that. The first one that I know somebody's scratching, and it might be several people scratching their heads, is going, MailChimp. What is MailChimp? And you and I have talked about it, but I think it deserves maybe a couple lines of explanation for those who may not know it.
Okay, MailChimp is an email marketing platform. So it is a service, a tool, a platform, a website that we can import our email addresses from the database that we keep at the salon or from our online booking platform or whatever. And it's just one of the most intuitive and simple email platforms to use. Now, many salons have email platforms built in to their salon software or email capabilities built into their online booking platforms. So I'm not saying not to use those. And again, I know Ben will have a lot to say on that. But I know that for many people, what I find is sometimes MailChimp is easier to use for the creative person like myself, or maybe a salon owner or whatever. And again, it's just super intuitive and makes it easier for people like us to create, design, and send emails. So did that answer your question?
It does. It does very well. Thank you. Next question would be, and I think no matter what we talk about as it relates to social and digital for salons, this is a natural question that pops up, and that goes to the investment of time. You talked about the importance of commitment, and that's it starts with that. But so many salons will ask the question, before I can commit, I have to have a much clearer understanding of what does it take, and you work with a lot of clients, so share some of that.
Excellent. Such a good question, Gordon. So I'll back it up just a little because it's never a completely simple answer with me. What I recommend to all my clients and to my community at large is it's time to reassess the tactics that you're using, the programs that you're running, because there is no more time. There is no more time. So maybe you are doing a direct mail program that you've been doing for 30 years. Maybe you've been, I don't know, doing something else. So I think it starts there because we have to find the time. So something's got to give, and whether that means delegating, whatever. So we open up space. There may be someone in your salon that's like super good at stuff like this. So really kind of identifying first and foremost those people, or it could be you. Then it's a little creativity and planning. Now, I recommend to my clients, it doesn't always work this way, but I always recommend planning out a little bit, even if it's 2 months. Even if you're 2 months ahead in your marketing calendar, then you can think about what type of content am I going to send on October 1st. Well, we have this really cool new, whatever, and I know the clients are going to love it. Or I have this great new step-by-step for how to use hairspray better. Or I have a fall hair care tip story I want to share. So you got to get a little in front of it. I'm not being unrealistic in saying 6 months. I'm not even saying 3 months. But you got to get a little ahead so you don't freak out come September 28th and you're like, oh my God, I have to send a newsletter out on the 1st, or I have to do this, and then it becomes a chore. So just like anything, you have to carve out the space. When you find value in something, you will. I think Ben is going to absolutely share with us how incredibly valuable finding time for this is. But first and foremost, Gordon, it really is about there are tactics being used today in business that are no longer effective. Those need to go. Those need to go. So does that
Perfect? Thank you.
help?
Yep. No, it helps. It's a great answer. I'm about to turn it over to you, Ben, but before I do you have anything you want to add to that, or any questions for Nina?
No, I thought that was great, and I was actually sitting here taking notes along while she was saying it, so I love that. Just to piggyback on the time thing, I would almost add that the learning curve when you're first getting into it is always more daunting, but once you then figure out, this is how I do this or this is how I do that, it becomes much easier 3, 4, 5 months down the road because you have your template, you know what you're going to do, and so then putting it together goes from taking an hour for your first one to being able to get it done in 15 or 20 minutes. So that's all that I would add for that.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I would totally agree with that. Very good.
Great stuff, both of you. Thank you. So we've kind of covered the big why, as always Nina says. Everything starts with why, and we dug into the what and some of the best practices. So I think we have a great foundation, and now we want to share with our American Salon audience really a case study, and from somebody that Nina and I have a lot of respect for, and also I would add affection for. We're talking about social and digital, and I often use Ben as an example of how connected we've become, and he and I, who both live in Chicago, and in the old days may or may not have bumped into one another, but because of social and digital, I know this young man, and I've been to his salon, and I've seen him in action, and I've seen him learn and grow as really a figure in the industry, a young figure, but somebody who's certainly made a mark and certainly has made a name for himself. And I look back at my life and my career, and I know that it wasn't possible in those days to do what you've achieved, and good for you, and good for everybody, who steps up and takes advantage of all these opportunities. And speaking of opportunities, email marketing certainly is one. Again, we want you to share kind of your case study and how you're using it to drive business and loyalty by way of e-newsletters. So Ben, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm excited and proud to be a part of this, and I appreciate all those kind words. All right. So our basic overview plan for how we think about a lot of our social platforms, but especially our inbox, is our goal is really to increase frequency of getting our guests to come into the salon and awareness of what's going on at the salon. Usually, if we can increase awareness, that should then increase frequency because people will want to come back more often. We're going to share a number of different campaigns that we do, is what we call them. The first one that we do is a simple 5-week reminder for those guests that did not pre-book their visits before they left. This goes out automatically to those people so that we can, again, give them that awareness and get them back into the salon. Our 3-month campaign is something that, very similar to the 5 weeks, goes out to everybody that does not have a reservation set up. The old school way of doing this might have been to send out a postcard or something, maybe put a little bit of like a $10 discount on there. We don't do a lot of discounting in our salon. We want to, again, raise that awareness so that guests can know what they've been missing out and what's been new in the salon in the last 3 months. And then we do special occasion and focuses. We'll do something for our men's clients if holiday hours are coming up and we want to promote that, or product launches or charitable events. We'll do special mailings in order to, again, raise that awareness of what's going on. So here's an example of our 5-week campaign. Part of what makes this easier for us is that we use a software solution that's built into our salon booking program. So it does automate this process a little bit. But we're able to set up the artwork, and when guests come in today, if they don't pre-book, in 5 weeks from today, they will get this inbox message that morning, and they'll wake up and they'll have this nice little message that just simply says, we wanted to let you know that it's been 5 weeks since your last reservation and you don't have a future one set up. We'll see you soon. We keep it very simple, very clean, just a little button there that says reserve now, and then that brings them back to our online booking portion of our website.
So I'm going to, and I think because this is a little bit of a case study, I'm going to jump in and ask a question. And,
Absolutely.
And we'll back up that slide. And Nina, I encourage you to as well. Ben is young and nimble, and so let's take advantage and ask him questions as we go to interrupt the flow. So I think some people are going to look at this and go, where does he get the artwork? So, talk about, assets or resources or,
Sure.
What do you tap in to have great artwork? Because you've got beautifully designed e-blasts, and tell us about that.
I personally, I love graphic design, and it's not something that I ever studied. It's just something that I played with and have evolved over the years. So we try and use much of our own work as possible. So this young lady was a model that came in for one of our workshops, and we loved the way that her hair came out, so we shot it. And then I use an app that is available on iOS and Mac called Pixelmator. It's sort of like a skimmed down Photoshop. Photoshop has always been over my head, but I like Pixelmator because it's easier to understand. And so I'm able to set up the artwork with the imagery and the feel that I want it to have.
And can I just add,
Yep.
Gordon, I've got a couple tools that have been really successful with some of my clients. Again, I always recommend using a professional graphic designer, but for something like this, if you do have a little bit of skill, Canva.com is a great tool. If you have the artwork, if you have the beautiful photo, as Ben said, if you have your high-res logo, if you have, a font. So Canva.com is a great design tool, and PicMonkey. PicMonkey, PicMonkey.com, Canva.com, both great tools. I also have had clients that engage a professional designer. You got to be organized to do that because, you got to make sure you plan ahead. But great question.
Well, and I want to add there too that we're talking marketing, and we especially when we're talking about digital, I think we talk about investing time. But in what part of our business, don't we invest money if we want to move the needle forward? And so, I think budgets are important. I'd also say on the art side of things, I know an awful lot of manufacturers, have created very specific resources for their salon customers to use in building newsletters and creating shelf talkers, creating online posts. So I think who you partner with within the industry can also be of value.
Good point. Yes.
Absolutely.
Back to you, Ben. We'll let you move on.
So New and Now. This is a campaign that we put together to replace those old school postcards. And as I mentioned up front, a lot of people kind of get into the, well, they haven't been in a while, so maybe we should send them a $10 off because we miss you kind of thing. And we wanted to kind of turn it into more of like, here's what you're missing out on, and we're going to tell you about everything that's new. So again, up top, you can notice with very similar to the last inbox message, branding-wise, it's very, very similar. We kind of changed the colors on the New and Now font to keep it with spring or fall so that we can keep it fresh. But the message is very simple, that they've been gone for 3 months and they don't have a reservation yet. And then we just fill them in on what's new. So we did a bachelorette charity auction earlier, so we linked out to a video that was on our Facebook page. We added Olaplex in the last few months, so we wanted to let them know what was new in terms of services. And then we also added an Awapui Smooth category from our Paul Mitchell manufacturer. And so, again, it was just about awareness, getting it out there. There's no discounts in anything. We're not necessarily selling anything. We're just trying to remind people to not forget about us.
And you have a call to action, reserve now. You have a call to action, reserve now. Okay, I'm so excited. I
would say in this message we have 2 call to actions. We've got the reserve now or we've got the link out to the video if they want to watch that.
Yes.
So the video out is probably the smaller of the two because it's a little bit more subtle with just the play button.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously we're trying to promote more of the reserve now and get them back to our website to make that reservation.
Ah, love it.
This is personally one of my favorites because it's for the guys, and so this is how I do a lot of my research into knowing what's going on and what I should be paying attention to. But we modeled our men's newsletter we took inspiration from GQ. I think that we could probably all agree that GQ is kind of the de facto when it comes to men's style. But one of the things that the GQ does is it talks about a lot more than just style. It talks about technology, talks about cars, lifestyle, all sorts of different stuff. And so we thought, well, couldn't we do something similar? So again, branding right up front. You can see email by the Hair Loft Limited. We've got our name and our logo, and color-wise, it all fits our brand. Call to action is at the very top of the email because I think that if we're doing these sort of long content pieces, sometimes people don't scroll all the way through, so we wanted it up top. But in this example, we highlighted a couple of different things that were going on in and around the salon. The Drifter at this time was a new restaurant that had just opened 2 blocks away from our salon. So we wanted to build a little bit of community and highlight that because we want people hanging out in our neighborhood. And if they're in the neighborhood, they'll probably be more likely to come to the salon. The second post there, this was around Valentine's Day, so we were letting the guys know that if they were coming in during February, we were actually giving out $25 gift certificates, so if they wanted to give one for free to their girlfriend or wife or somebody that hadn't been to the salon before, they were welcome to do so. And then we also had the auto show in Chicago in February. So it's something to do around town. So we've got this kind of cool post here highlighting a lot of different stuff, not all about the salon, but we're able to tie one of them back into the salon to keep it focused on what we do.
What I love about this is this speaks to that value. You're delivering value in all these different ways. And it is about the neighborhood. You know what I mean? It is about telling me what the coolest new restaurant is. That's why I come to the salon.
Right.
Tell me what's up in the world of fashion, lifestyle, tech, whatever. So this is it's just brilliant.
Yeah, and I mean, I love highlighting our neighborhoods. I mean, we're very fortunate to be in 2 of the fastest growing neighborhoods in Chicago, so there's always ton of stuff to do. But I mean, you could put a movie review in. You could put an article that you found about, I don't know, barbecuing. It doesn't necessarily have to be about the neighborhood. It just kind of has to be about something that's maybe guy-oriented, and then you find something about the salon to tie it back in to get them thinking, oh, that's right, I do need a haircut, or oh, that's right, I got to go back to the salon soon.
And I love that you're thinking about content, from a value proposition perspective, but you're also thinking about behavior, which I love. I mean, the fact that from a thought process point of view, you thought about where to put the call to action, and that decision was in part thinking about how people act on their phones. You were very specific about a long piece of content that people don't scroll. I mean, that's thinking as a marketer, number one, and I think so many people in salons, so many salon owners wear so many hats that they don't always have the right hat on when they're doing certain activities, and you squarely had that hat on. But also, you thought about what I think are one of the most important things we can think about in social, and that is the behavior of the individual that we're trying to speak to.
Yeah, I definitely think in terms of how would I respond to this, and I feel that especially for that email one, I'm kind of the target that I'm trying to get into the salon in terms of a male guest, and I know that when I have a long message, and I've signed up for who even knows how many newsletters and emails. I generally will read the top of the message and maybe the first article or something, and then I'm on to the next thing. But if the person that's reading that sees Hair Loft reserve now, at least I got that message across if they don't read anything else.
Well, I see that you put the car, and Nina and I happen to know you have an interest in cars. I noticed that you put the car towards the bottom so that maybe you were thinking, well, if you saw the car, the guy would keep scrolling.
Right.
Anyway, I digress.
This is one of our special mailings. So this we tend to do at the end of the year, obviously during the holidays. I know that this is always one of Nina's favorite examples of what we do.
Favorite.
But it's just such a, I keep saying simple, but I don't want to downplay it, but it's basically us getting out awareness about our hours. There's no buy this, there's no gift card special, there's no anything like that. It's just simply, here's when we're going to be here, when do you want to be here, right? And so we will send this out, again, talking about Nina's planning in advance. I already know. We're going to redo this one for this year, and it'll go out the first week of November, and it will have the days that we are available for the next month and a half so that we can get through the new year so that people can know when we're going to be there. Very simple message. We're looking forward to sharing the holidays with you, and reserve now. This email last year alone booked us $3,500 in revenue with just one email, and just a simple notification of letting people know when we were going to be there.
I can't get enough of this, and I'll tell you why. It's not even the revenue, even though like the revenue proves that this stuff works.
Mm-hmm.
What I love about this is what I'm talking about when it comes to value, because the holidays are nuts, and we all want to look awesome for the holidays, and we forgot to pre-book, and then we have to, this vacation, and that's going on. To just get a reminder, like, oh my gosh, we're so concerned about you. We know you want your hair done before the holidays because you always do. And this is a service. This is such an incredible service to provide the guest, because that gives me that one reason to go, oh my gosh, okay, click. Like,
mm-hmm.
That's what I needed. Like, I've been thinking about picking up the phone. I've been thinking about making my holiday reservation, but I haven't. And I think that's one of the reasons this is so successful, and you're seeing that instant revenue generate. It's just brilliant and speaks so much to what we're supposed to be doing here, which is providing value. Money on the table, reservations sitting on the table, wanting to be made, but the clients are busy. We're all busy. So as a business, you need to help me. Help me, help
Exactly.
me help you. That Jerry Maguire thing. Anyways, I get so excited, as you know.
And then I guess just to point out again, like, sorry not to cut you off, Gordon, but from just like a branding perspective, again, color scheme wise, it's all in our thing. And then to take it the next step further, our in-salon decor that year, we were really focusing on gold. And so we kind of felt that going with this background kind of looked like gold ornaments, and so then it reflected it in the salon when they came to see us. I was really proud of this campaign for our holidays, just with how everything came together.
Beautiful.
Well, and you should be. I mean, the results, speak volumes. But let me add too here. I see examples of this just across pretty much anything and everything we talk about that's right to do today in a salon, and that is that whole program is kind of a mirror image of what every old school hairdresser that I know who is exceedingly exceptional has always done around the holidays. And that is, they go over the top to make a point with every client, whether it's mostly in person, but also with phone follow-up. And I'm talking about the iconic hairdressers that I've knew 20, 30, 40, well, not 40 years ago for me, but who tell me the stories from back then, and I have been around a while. But all the stuff that really worked then, it still works. It's just we have so many more tools. And to Nina's point, people are so busy, we need to take advantage of those tools. But reminding people, it's all the basics. It's the rebooking, and this is a part of that. This is another version of that. So kudos to you for how you're doing it. But I just love to reinforce that we've known that these kind of attempts to rebook clients in multiple ways have worked for decades.
I think that one of the simplest ways to think about some of this stuff is, what kind of old school techniques can we just remix and make digital? Like, if you think about what all the examples of how to grow a business were, just think, well, is there a digital way of doing that? And then I would say embrace the digital way of doing it, because that seems to be the way that's taking off.
And the way that clients want to engage,
Yeah, absolutely.
we know that Generation C, the connected customer, as defined by Brian Solis, absolutely proves that we must adapt to how they want to engage with businesses. This is a great example of that. Excellent.
So in this example, this was for our Marula launch. This is one of the newest brands that we picked up from Paul Mitchell, and so we don't do this for every time we launch a new product, but when we launch a big category or something very special, we do want to make a big deal about it. You know, we want people to again raise that awareness, and so we invited our top guests, our VIPs, so to speak, to come and enjoy an evening with us where we would serve some hors d'oeuvres and champagne. They would be able to get a treatment and a blowout, as well as take home a gift of the new product launch. And the evening, it was $95. And so it wasn't a free night to just come and enjoy. It was a paid event. And so in this inbox, we kind of played with our logo. We took out our sort of signature squares and put in the Marula stars so that we could play into their brand a little bit. We curated some content from both Cosmopolitan, which linked out to an article that they had independently about Marula oil, and then we also had a link out to Paul Mitchell's website to learn more about Marula oil. And then we had, you know, our phone number and everything in there so that people could call and make their reservation. We ended up having about $1,700 in one evening at this event, and we even picked up, I think, 3 or 4 new guests because people brought their girlfriends in with them to come and enjoy the evening. And so it was absolutely a success for us, and we had a great time with it. This one is our summer hours. So we talked a little bit about our salon's holiday hours. This one is, we try and really target this message a lot more because obviously during the holidays the whole salon is closed, but during the summer you tend to have, you know, one stylist takes this week off, one stylist takes that week off. And so this one, we try and get guests to know their stylist's vacation time. So from an artwork standpoint, we talked about it earlier, this one probably takes a little bit more time. And then in our salon, when we have 17 stylists, and let's say not everybody takes a summer vacation, but if 10 of them are, that means I have to remake this 10 times. But it's worth it. Again, like last year, from anywhere between $600 to $1,000 per stylist was able to be booked through this messaging and through this program. And so if I can target Ashley's guests and say Ashley's going to be gone the second week of July, and Jerry, he's going to be gone the first week of August, and Shannon, she's going to be gone the last week of August. And so then again, kind of what Gordon was saying about getting people to pre-book, that old school mentality, I'm going to be gone, don't miss out. This is just our digital way of doing that, and a very clean-cut call to action.
And again, providing incredible value to the client because they don't wake up one morning and call the salon and go, oh, Benjamin's out for a month in, you know, saving the world or whatever.
That's what I do.
And you're also, I see your cape. But also, what I also love about this, on the flip side of just managing a team, you know, and building a culture, you know, is that you now are, you know, putting out marketing programs that support individual team members, you know, and I think that's rare, and I think it's important, and I think this generation of professionals coming in gets, you know, understands and appreciates that kind of effort from management.
I mean, I love doing it. I've always felt that as a stylist, it's kind of your role to build your chair, but as an owner, it's your role to build everybody's chair. Mm-hmm. And I know that not everybody would agree with that, but that's my feeling, is like, they're here for me, but I need to be here for them. And so if spending an hour of my time doing one haircut, or spending an hour of my time making an inbox program that will grow everybody, sometimes I definitely feel like spending the hour doing an inbox program is definitely more valuable.
Very good point.
Yep. In this example, this was for our big charity event last year. We host this was our second annual Bachelor and Bachelorette auction. So it was an invite to as many people as we could get. So I think that we sent this out to however many people are in our inbox list. But it's an invite to participate at our event. So we had a number of call to actions here, either the RSVP now, where they could purchase their event tickets. There was I think it was $10 in advance or $15 at the door, so there was a little bit of a benefit there for them to RSVP ahead of time. We had a link out to the video from last year's event so that people could see what type of an environment and an experience they were in for, and then we had a link to our Facebook event so that people could share it with their friends. So we were really proud of this. We raised about $2,800 for the various charities that were part of the campaign, and we ended up having, I think, about 100 or a little over 100 people come to the event. So we were really, really proud of that.
So
And
awesome.
Yeah, and this is, and go back to that slide again, because I think, in being involved in your community,
Oops.
is important, and I think, but this is just such a kind of an added value message, because myself as a consumer, as a potential client or a client at a salon, you're exposing me to things I may never know about your salon if I don't get to see Blast, just because I'm not paying attention necessarily.
Right.
And it may change my perception in a really positive way, because I think salons and stylists play unique roles in their communities, and it's great that you're not only raising money, but that you're making your entire client base aware of it. I think it's very cool. It's very
Yeah,
cool.
and just so that people don't think that all this stuff is just my idea. That when we talked 2 years ago about what type of charity events that we wanted to do, I thought that this sounded like the dumbest idea in the world, to be honest with you. But the team, I'm being honest. I was like, who's going to want to go to that? Like that, I felt so out of place. But the team got excited about it, and so when our stylists and everybody was like, oh my gosh, that would be so much fun, they are the ones that ran with it. And so I think that part of it is, I can do the marketing, but if the marketing encourages them to be excited about an event, build that up. Let them be excited and foster that energy, and you'll have great turnouts for these type of things.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good stuff. So thank you, Ben. Great stuff always from you, and great examples. And I love that we got to kind of experience those newsletters through the presentation. Question on kind of the investment, of your time, of potential money and return on investment, because we saw some dollars kind of coming through there. So over the course of a year, just to give the audience, an idea, like, what do you feel like you put into it, whether it's time or hours per month, or give us some sense of what it takes, to get this done, and then what you feel the return is to your business and to your staff.
I wish I tracked the hours that I spent on certain projects better. For many of those ones that are automated, though, like the 5 weeks, the new and now, it really is a matter of setting it up one time and then going through and maybe updating it quarterly. That way you're not spending 2 hours on it every week trying to figure it out. I would say I probably spend a few hours a quarter. And I'm not trying to make that up. Maybe it's because of the workflow that I'm in, and I'm comfortable with how I do things. But I would probably say in a quarter, I probably spend less than 10 hours on inbox. Multiply that. So then, looking at what we did for the year, I checked our numbers, and our last year, our year to date through our campaigns was a little over $85,000. So I would say that the return on setting up these programs for us has been huge, because even if I spent a full 40 hours of the year working on these, that $85,000 return for the team is tremendous.
Yeah.
Talk just briefly about the list build effort, or what do you do to collect emails? It sounds like you've got a system that helps you do that, but do you have any specific efforts you do, or are you kind of on autopilot? Talk about that, because I know the list matters.
I do like MailChimp. MailChimp is what we use for our form and function mailings for salon education, but for the salon, what we have been using is the built-in program that is part of Salon Transcripts, or STX. When
do
guests,
you ask every client for emails? Yeah, okay,
we do.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we do. When guests come to the salon, we have them fill out their guest profile, very similar to probably what a lot of people do, name, phone number, address, but in there we include email, their Instagram handle, and their Twitter handle if they have them. And the vast majority of people input their input their email addresses for us. And so we use that for email confirmations, and we use it for our inbox marketing. And it works really, really well for us. And because it's built in, that's what really allows us to automate some of those campaigns.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Nina, any questions for Ben or anything you want to add about this whole case study and really
no,
driving the business?
One thing I do on time, because I do a newsletter also, and I know I'm not a salon, it's a little bit different, but I do a weekly, and I spend about, I would say, about an hour in the actual build, and mine aren't that graphically heavy, but I write a pretty long message, love note, within each of my weekly dose of awesomes. So about an hour a week for me. The return is phenomenal because, as I was saying in the beginning, and I've also seen this on salon clients analytics, is it still is one of the biggest existing client traffic drivers to my website, right? And I have objectives. I have things I'm promoting. And I also track sales from my newsletter, as Benjamin does. So it's definitely an incredible ROI, return on investment, for me. And in terms of email lists, one of the best ways, if you don't have, if you're not using a sophisticated salon software type thing, even if you're using an online booking platform, there's still email collection. So regardless of your size or the amount of technology that you have, you're most likely using either a full service salon software program like an STX, or maybe an online booking platform, maybe like StyleSeat. So both have options for email capture, and I think that's really, really important to remember. That's it.
One thing I think is important to add here is that when I think of all the different ways that a salon can market, and thinking of all the salons that I know, which is an awful lot, so few market. I mean, I'm amazed that when you really start to question, like, what are the marketing practices besides those that happen at the chair, or at the desk. There's not a lot, and when and now we talk about all these tools, all these platforms, as well as all the old school stuff, much of which still works perfectly well. This is one of those targeted, get yourself in the right lane, understand how to do it, as Ben's pointed out, a few hours a quarter, something you could use with existing software programs as you have, and drive results. I think people sometimes get lost in all the social media recommendations for marketing because it's something they have to do every day. And this one, just when I look at the list, this is like, okay, this one's the easy to do. Not easy, we've talked about what it takes, but relative to everything else, time commitment, investment, this just seems like a natural that we wish more salons would take advantage of, and of course that's why we chose to offer this webinar. Any last comments on that? I want to give both of you an opportunity to talk about how people can find you and what you guys do when you're not doing webinars, but any last comments on the inbox marketing?
I would say, just to highlight and bring back to some of the things that Nina said about knowing the frequency. I tried to highlight that in all the campaigns that we did, but I do think that the more frequent you send something, the more value you need to be bringing in order to be able to respect the inbox. If you're going to do a weekly message like Nina does, she does a great job always changing up the content. But if a salon were to do like a daily message or a daily, you're going to have to be bringing a lot of value in order to make that something that people aren't going to get annoyed by. So I would just say, understand the goal and understand what you're trying to do with each mailing, and make sure that what you're providing is something that the guest wants to see and wants to read, as opposed to just trying to get something to get out there because you heard inbox marketing was really good.
That's a great point. And then Nina, before any last stuff from you, that makes me want to ask you a question.
Okay.
And I've had this one almost the entire program, which is how much is not enough? In other words, if you
What's too low of a frequency?
What's too low of a
Well,
frequency to really make sense? I think that's an important
well,
question to consider.
it really goes back to content plan because I kind of like how Ben, how Benjamin set it up is we do this for this group of clients, we do this for this group of clients, and we do clearly Benjamin's very clear on his objectives. So we always dial it back to start with why. And that's not mine, by the way, that's Simon Sinek, but we have to understand our objective. If our objective is simply to deliver some sort of value and stay in touch with existing clients and deliver some value, then, monthly should be fine. Anything more than monthly, I think, is not marketing. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, Benjamin has set up, there's the hours of operation. Those are a couple times a year. You know what I mean? So I think it really goes back to what's your objective? What are you trying to do? Do you want to, like, maybe you want to increase pre-booking and you want to make sure that your stylist or yourself, if you're an independent stylist, that your books, are full and your clients are satisfied before you leave on vacation. Then to me, it's, you plug in that hours of operation campaign that's so flipping brilliant, right? So it has to go back to objective. And I know that's so frustrating every time I say that, but there is no one pad answer. Now, like I said, anything more than monthly to me says you're not really in business. And what I see, because I subscribe to a lot of Salon's emails, and of course I subscribe to a lot of emails in general, is where it becomes the irritant and spamming is, daily, you're probably going to be a spammer. But what's also spammy and a little off-putting is when I don't hear from you for 6 months, and then all of a sudden I get an email that says 20% off, hair color. And I'm like, huh? Like, where have you been? Like, this is not a relationship. You're just pushing out content and just like shoving content down my throat. No, thank you. Delete, potentially unsubscribe.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So does that kind of help, Gordon, with?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I could go on and on and on.
I think the three of us could, and we're definitely coming to the end of our time with this audience at least. So let me ask both of you first with you, Ben. Tell us where people can find you, can find the Hair Loft, can find Form and Function, Salon Education, online across all the platforms. Tell us how to get in touch with you or follow you.
Personally, Benjamin J on Facebook or at BNJMNJ on Instagram. The Hair Loft, our website is thehairloftltd.com, and through there we'll have all of our social platforms. And for Form and Function, the website is ffsaloneducation.com, and you can also find all the social platforms that we're on for education through there. So this was awesome. This was great.
Thank you. And I love that your Instagram handle is basically Benjamin J without the vowels, right? Did I say that right?
You gotta abbreviate everything.
I just love it. It's so easy for me to remember. Just take out the vowels.
Yeah, just drop the vowels.
Nina, where can people find you and Passion Squared?
Well, my website, passionsquared.net, that's where I do my weekly blogs. It's also where you can subscribe to the Weekly Dose of Awesome, which is my every Monday Love Note newsletter. Passion Squared on Instagram, is where I spend a lot of my time. Passion Squared on Facebook, Nina L. Kovner on Facebook. Passion Squared 2 on Twitter and Periscope. That's pretty much YouTube, Passion Squared TV. So that's pretty much where I hang out.
What about the daily texts that I receive from you that I enjoy so much?
An awesome a day. Well, funny you should bring that up. Yeah, actually, it's a really cool personal development program that I created, and there's information on it in my shop at passionsquared.net. You just click the shop button, and you can find an awesome a day, and it's super cool. I deliver a message of love, empowerment, and all that good stuff to your phone every morning. So, yeah, thanks, Gordon. I'm glad you like it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I recommend it. Highly recommend following both of you. Appreciate so much you sharing all this great content and ideas and best practices today with the American Salon audience. We are going to continue to put out webinars featuring a variety of guests and thought leaders in this space, and we'll be putting up a schedule soon on our Facebook page, American Salon, over on Facebook, and we are American_Salon on Instagram, and I think we're going to move the slide forward and let everybody know that we've got 2 past webinars that are on AmericanSalon.com. You hit the on-demand button at top. They're free. They're available 24/7. One of them being using online reviews to drive success. That's talking about Yelp and platforms like it. Sponsored actually by DemandForce, which is an amazing review platform that is doing great things for salons. And then our first webinar actually was your guide to navigating the online landscape. We talk with actually with Nina. Nina participated in both our webinars. And Rodney Cutler, a great salon owner in New York, and Gerard from Hairbrained. And we kind of give a tour of the social and digital space and some best practices as to how salons can be highly engaged and drive success by virtue of all those platforms. And so, again, we want to say thank you to everybody. Look for us at AmericanSalon.com. We hope you'll sign up for the Daily Beauty Fix, which is our daily newsletter. But we don't spam you. We give you great content every day. It's a big, giant, diverse industry filled with news and all kinds of good stuff that we love to share. And so we hope you'll go to AmericanSalon.com and sign up for the Daily Beauty Fix. And we look forward to sharing more great content with you online and in print. And thanks, guys. It's been an amazing afternoon with you two.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.